look at going in and manipulating our user interface here. So what I want to do is I want to actually see my preview pane. So let's go up to editor and I'm going to choose the assistant, and it's giving me both of the content views. So just click on the right hand side and let's just go to editor and let's just choose the canvas for it. All right. Now you should see something up at the top that says resume. So I'm gonna click on resume and build succeeded, and it should show me my actual user interface here. And you'll see that we have something called text. And this is pretty much how we write things out when we want to code it. You tell it what you want it to do, text, and you'll get the hang of what these things are called. And then in parentheses, you put what you want that string to be. And remember, strings always go in quotes. So let's actually create another text. And we can do this a couple of ways. You can write it, or you can actually add things using this plus here. So the first thing that I'm going to do is write it, because I want to demonstrate something to you of how things are ordered. So let's write text. And then I'll just say, learn the code. And I should get an error here. Why is this? And this is because in Storyboard, we were able to use constraints. Well, in SwiftUI, it's totally different. We organize things by stacks. So I'm going to delete this. And that should go away. And I'm going to hit this plus. And this is just our library, the same way that we added things earlier. And we can just say text. So what I'm going to do is just take text and drag it over to my storyboard here. And you'll see that it gives me a couple of options. I could put it to the left, I could put it down here at the bottom, I can put it over here to the right, or I can put it over here to the top. Well, I'm just going to drop it right below this hello world, and I let go. And what you'll notice is something very, very different. What happened was this has embedded this in a V stack, or a vertical stack. So in order for things to be on top of each other, they're organized in stacks. And this is important. If it was side by side, it would be an H stack or a horizontal stack. And we'll talk about that later on as we move forward. But just know, if you want things on top of each other, things are going to be embedded in stacks. And if you go over here to the plus and you add it, it's going to automatically build that for you. But you also can write this yourself. So in the placeholder, let's just go in and I'll just write learn to code. Alright. So hello world, learn the code, and we can see that this has automatically been updated. So what I want to do, I have an image on my desktop. You can go in and find any image that you want. So I'm going to click on my assets.xc assets folder. And what I want to do is just click and drag this over to here. And I'm going to let go. So I do have a image that is found here. And let's go back to content view and hit resume. Alright. And well, let's go in and add this image. So we can do this with code, or we can do it with the plus. It's just easier to add it with the plus for now until you understand how this works. And what we want to do is search for an image. Well, the image is right over here. So any image that we add into our assets folder, it will be found here. So I'm going to click here and we'll see that my stack photo is there. So if I click and drag this over, and I'm going to put it right in between my two texts, and I'm going to let go. All right. And once I did that, you can see that in the stack, it's still in the stack. What I did was I have an image and then just the name of the image. So my image was called stack. And that's how I easily place that in. But let's say, for instance, there's a modifier that we can use to space things out. Let's say that I wanted to space this out and I wanted to push this directly to the top. By default, things are directly in the center at first. So let's say I wanted to push this to the top here. Well, under text, I'm going to write something called a spacer, and it's a capital S. And I'm going to say spacer and then put parentheses. And notice what has happened. It automatically jumped this to the top now. So spacers work a little bit differently. So if I put a spacer down here at the bottom, it's going to push it from the bottom, meaning that's going to go up. Let's say that I take my spacer and I put it at the top. It's going to push it from the actual top. So just notice how those things work here. So I'm going to go back and do what I had at first. Right there. And now this is at the top. So just to talk about what we did, remember, if you want things stacked on top of each other, we have to use stacks. And by default, if you use the plus, it will go in and add you a vertical stack automatically when you're putting things on top of each other. So text, that's how we can write simple text. And then image, this is how we can add a image in here. And then spacer, that pushes things from the top or to the bottom. All right.